Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is John J Gaming on for Mike here, coming at you with a brand new episode of the NCSL Dynasty here on NCAA 14. We had a pretty good and exciting couple weeks of NCSL action to start our season, but we're looking to heat it up here. What we have planned for today is once again having 16 nationally televised games throughout the country, and we will be checking in on all of those nationally televised games. In addition, we'll have multiple top 25 matchups that will have full game action in, at least full game highlights. And of course, you gotta have those studio updates as we're getting out of that time where a lot of teams are playing against lower Division 1 opponents, at least the vast majority of a team. So should be a really exciting episode, should be some good games out there that we are really excited to see. I hope you guys are excited for it as well. If you are, make sure you go ahead, smack that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. If you do happen to be brand new to the channel, let's go ahead and dive right into it. I'll see you guys on the fields throughout college football. So we'll get the new week of NCSL action started, and we have a little bit of Sunbelt action to get things going. Mississippi State going on the road to take on the number 19 ranked Auburn Tigers as Auburn seeks to start their season 2-0, and that's one way to get it done. Go to your custom running back, Ricky Bobby Jr. He's going to get the first scoring here of this episode. He'll punch it in from short, but they do end up missing that extra point. Hopefully that does not haunt them down the line. Hopefully that's not a little bit of foreshadowing down the line. We'll have to wait and see how the rest of this game goes. But Mississippi State does have a chance to go ahead and nod things up. They're going to ground to the ground game themselves. And their quarterback, BJ Hughes, will find the end zone. Touchdown, Bulldogs. And just like that, Mississippi State will tie it up. And matter of fact, they will actually take the lead because they actually can make their extra points. Imagine that. That is something crazy to think about. As it looks like Mississippi State, they are on a mission to try and pull this upset off. Get it started with a little bit of an upset special. As now the Bulldogs will run it up the gut again. And John Huff is going to finish the run. Touchdown, Mississippi State. The Bulldogs will score yet again. And Auburn on a little bit of upset alert here early on here in this episode, but their quarterback Brian Nichols will get the Auburn Tigers right back into this game. They needed that one in the worst way, and they certainly got it. Only down by 5 points now, and they have a chance to take the lead before we go into halftime. Brian Nichols will run across midfield, but only 20 seconds left here in this first half, so not a lot of time here if they want to try to get any points. Big throw down the left-hand side. It's caught. And we got a broken tackle as well. DeJounte Joseph, one of your guys' customs, he's the one that gets loose. So, Auburn takes the lead into the halftime. But make no mistake, it is a very tightly contested game right now. But one that you feel like Auburn is starting to seize the momentum a little bit. We'll see if they can seize victory here in the second half. As 13 looks over the middle, finds his receiver yet again. Justin Miner, the second catch of the drive, he's going to find the end zone. And Brian Nichols has been on fire today. 3 passing touchdowns here in this opening game. He's going to try to get a rushing score as well, but is going to be denied. 2-point conversion is going to be no good. So trying to take a 7-point lead, that did not work. So now the Bulldogs will have to come out onto the field. They have a chance to take the lead if they can find the end zone here yet again. So here we are, 1st and 10 from about the 11-yard line. They can get first down without scoring. That is, in fact, possible. We'll see if they seize on that opportunity. BJ Hughes will nearly run for that stated first down. So a second and short coming up for the Bulldogs. I imagine they'll go to the read option. Going to hand off to the tailback. And John Huff is going to punch it in again. And the Bulldogs will now go for the 2-point conversion. Trying to get it up to 35. A 3-point game. And it's got. They got it. They do end up getting it. Oh, baby, do we have an absolute shootout on our hands right now. Back and forth like a tennis match. We got a photo finish on our hands. Second and goal now as Auburn tries to respond. A read option for Brian Nichols, who's going to run it in himself. Touchdown Auburn. The Tigers score there. So a 4-point game on the way. So going down to the fourth quarter, who wants it more? Does Auburn start 2-0, or do we end up seeing Mississippi State win their first game of the season? Third and goal now as they'll run it to the tailback, who's going to make a man miss in the open field, and Darius Steffens finds the end zone. Touchdown Bulldogs. And so the Bulldogs take the lead, but Auburn does drive down the last minute. Tough field goal with the conditions. So it's 42-all. So we go to overtime. And in the first overtime, Auburn actually starts with the ball. And they try a field goal, but the field goal attempt's no good. So all Mississippi State has to come and do is got to get points on the scoreboard, and then this game would be over. That's the way to finish it, a walk-off to Dwight Mitchell in the end zone. Touchdown Bulldogs. That is the only touchdown that BJ Hughes has thrown this entire game. And man, did it come in the clutch. Mississippi State is going to be your winners. So a big way to start things out. We'll see if we can get some more upsets around the country, as we got teams like Texas and LSU playing weaker opponents. But we do get an early top 25 matchup as well. Oklahoma and USC will kick at it shortly as well. Should be a good game later on. But first we'll go down to Austin, Texas, where the Texas Longhorns will be hosting Kansas State. This is now a non-conference game. Texas is down early though. Texas is down 7-6, and they're still looking for their first offensive touchdown of the day, and they will get it with 7:55 in the second quarter. Derek Hawthorne will score, so Texas is up 13-7 as Kansas State trying to answer back the touchdown score by the Texas Longhorns earlier. Joel Scott has been running really well for Kansas State. We'll see if they go back to him, and sure enough, they do. Joel Scott gets his second running touchdown of the first half. He has been a certified problem, and he's helping keeping Kansas State in this game, as that ball might have been considered, they're calling it a fumble on the field. I feel like that's more of an interception than anything, trying to get that screen out. Darius Wood helps Kansas State take the lead briefly, and it puts the Wildcats in a position to actually win this thing. 3 minutes left to play, and Joel Scott, he'll score again. We'll see what they do with the 2-point conversion, though. They actually throw it, trying to dump it out to the right-hand side, and Joel Scott gets it. So now Texas has to score here, less than 3 minutes to go. This has been a different Texas team than what we saw from last year. Thought Texas was nearly unbeatable last year, and now they're looking very vulnerable right now. Dodging some pressure, looks over to the left-hand side. Nice job to avoid the pressure, and eventually finds Mark Kelly. So now, third and short coming up for Texas Longhorns. They still have some time to move the ball, as they're going to hand it off to Cameron Magnum. He's listed as a quarterback, but also doubles as a backup tailback. That's how athletic this kid is. You obviously love to see that. And Tanner Harris will score for the Texas Longhorns. Texas will go ahead and tie it up, but they might have left too much time on that scoreboard, because Kansas State drives down the length of the field, and it comes down to a game-winning kick. The kick is up, and it's right down the middle. You want to talk about some ice in the veins? That kid certainly has it. Kansas State wins 32-29. They pull the upset on Texas. So already multiple upsets happening in college football so far, as we now go down to Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City, Iowa. They will host Oregon State, and the Beavers are searching for their first victory of the season here in week number 3. Well, the Iowa Hawkeyes, meanwhile, well, we just saw them lose to Minnesota last week, but Iowa's a good team as well. Should be an intriguing matchup. They're going to be looking towards Darrell Sanders to power of his Beaver attack. He had 70 yards and a touchdown in the loss, but they go right back to him. Darrell Sanders gets his second rushing touchdown of the year. So Iowa has a chance to respond, though, and Iowa will respond quickly, as Kyle Wallace just bouncing off defenders like he's in a hip-hop battle, and Adam Smith will give Iowa a time ball game, at least temporarily, because Oregon State does drive down the length of the field. They will score yet again. So, should be another exciting game on our hands. We're not used to Iowa being like this. We're not used to Iowa getting this thing called offensive touchdowns, right? But that's the beautiful thing about video games. Almost anything is possible, right? But second and goal coming up here for the Iowa Hawkeyes as they try to even the score up at 14 apiece, as they will run it to the right-hand side. It's going to be Jeff Butler, who will once again find the end zone. Touchdown, Iowa. So we got a pretty competitive game on our hands. Matter of fact, Oregon State looking to pull away, facing multiple guys right on his legs, and still gets it off and still finds the end zone anyways. The screen, needless to say, was ran to absolute perfection. And now Iowa needs to try to pull a comeback. Dropping back, looking to respond, and the Iowa Hawkeyes are back in the game. They needed that in the worst way to avoid the 1-2 start going into conference action. And now down by 3, they force Oregon State to go 3 and out. Iowa has a chance to take the lead, pitches it out, has one man to beat, but he runs into a gang of tacklers because he puts it on the inside. We'll see if that haunts them later on. As now, 2nd and 1 jump going in. Butler is going to run it up the gut and finds the end zone. Touchdown, Iowa. And Kinnick Stadium is in pandemonium right now. And it looks like Iowa's on the verge of a 2-1 start. But Robbie Burns and company, well, they are not going to go down, at least not too easily. They will get the touchdown there, and they'll even go for this 2-point conversion, trying to throw it to the outside, and Patrick Scott cannot get there. So they would have needed the ball again, which doesn't happen because Iowa runs out the rest of the clock. Oregon State will start the year 0-2. Meanwhile, we have the battle with the Tiger Rag as number 18 LSU goes on the road to take on a winless Tulane squad. Tulane still looking for their very first win of the season. And it's quickly evident to see why we have seen Tulane struggle quite a bit here in year number 4. Tackling. Tackling has been a monumental issue for Tulane in these first couple of games of the season. I mean, not how you want to start here at home. That's why Yeoman Stadium here in New Orleans, that's why it's quieter than a rat fart right now. It has been that type of game and that type of season really for Tulane. To be honest with you, as LSU is on the doorsteps once again. We'll see what LSU does, and they'll run the ball up to the left-hand side where Mark Palmer will find the end zone. Touchdown, Tigers. And LSU expands their lead, going to be up by 20 going into the final quarter as Travell Bankston takes a shot. He gets lit up like a Christmas tree there, but a solid game for the junior custom, who has 5 catches for 74 yards. So a nice game for him overall, and a nice game overall for LSU. You know, been a slower start to the year, losing to Southern Miss, but LSU starting to find that stride as they win big against Tulane in a rivalry game. Meanwhile, we have Louisiana Tech going on the road and taking on Alabama. And while we expected Louisiana Tech to struggle a little bit, they are, in fact, starting a true freshman at quarterback, which is one of your custom guys, by the way. Alabama is winless. They are 0-1. We did not expect that from Alabama at all. So, you know, just kind of one of those surprises that we've seen thus far this year, as Alabama is looking to drop back to pass. He's got some time in the pocket, throws to the right-hand side, got his man open, and that is going to be a first down. So now tied ball game here at 7 apiece as Burchard is going to drop back, looks over the middle of the field, and that will be caught by Clinton Lake out of the backfield. So that's going to be a 1st and 10 for the Crimson Tide as Burchard looking to finish the drive and hits the corner. Jeff Boone open in the corner of the end zone. Touchdown, Crimson Tide. And Alabama will take the lead here in the second quarter. Louisiana Tech will look to answer back. They're going to run it with one of the wide receivers. That is Otis Rose. That picks up 7 yards on that run. Nice little creative play so that they don't have to run into the teeth of the defense. But this offense is built around their freshman quarterback, Braxton Jaeger, Braxton Jaeger really getting that welcome to college football moment, going up against this Alabama front line. They are certainly not playing around, as Jaeger, again, facing some pressure, but throws a dot to Otis Rose. And Louisiana Tech will tie this game up, and that's the thing about pressure. Sometimes it comes out and creates diamonds. And maybe Brandon Jaeger is a diamond for Louisiana Tech. Maybe you won't see much of that this year, but him starting as a true freshman, you never know how special this Louisiana Tech could be, 2-3 years down the line. Could be a bright future there in Ruston, Louisiana. But for now, they are still locked in a tight battle, only down by a touchdown. They got to keep him out of the end zone, though, as Josh Briggs gets them a lot closer. A 6-yard grab makes this a much more manageable third down situation. They're going to look at Quinn Lake to possibly run it in. No, it's a fake! Mark Burchard is going to keep it, and he is untouched on the way into the end zone. Touchdown, Alabama, and the Crimson Tide making a 2-score game and putting all the pressure now on Braxton Jaeger. Braxton Jaeger is trying to lead his guys down the field, trying to will of a comeback here in this fourth quarter of action. First and goal for the Bulldogs, as Braxton Jaeger will have the play action. Got some time in the pocket. He actually has a clean pocket for a change. And he'll throw a dot over to the middle of the field where Braxton Jaeger, he throws his third touchdown pass. So a bright spot for the Bulldogs, even though they do end up losing to Alabama here in Tuscaloosa. Meanwhile, we have our top 25 matchup as promised, as number 14, Oklahoma. Will they go on the road here in sunny California? And they'll take on the USC Trojans. USC coming in ranked number 3 in the entire country. Really good litmus test for the Oklahoma Sooners to see where they stand among some of the other big-time programs in college football. And in this first quarter, it is clear that Oklahoma may not meet the freeze moment here in this ball game, as early on USC jumps out to a significant lead in this first quarter of action. The Trojans will take a 14-3 lead after Victor Spence calmly throws to Myron Jones in the middle of the end zone. So USC already has a 14-3 lead on their hands. And then on the following possession, trying to set up the screen. And oh, baby, did they jump that screen in a heartbeat? And that screen gets jumped. Touchdown, USC. And Jordan Mitchell, another custom. Well, he's absolutely beside himself right now. Oh, my word. USC is up big right now. 21-3 your score. But Oklahoma does get another red zone opportunity and throws another interception. Oh, yeah, Mitchell just not having his day today. Really needed Mitchell to be on his game for Oklahoma to have a chance, and that is simply not happening right now. But they do a beautiful job of setting up the screen here, and eventually we will see the Sooners get on the scoreboard. Jerome Butler able to take the halfback screen and take it to the crib. So Oklahoma finally gets some offensive points. They get their first offensive touchdown here in the first half. But oh baby, did Jordan Mitchell take a little bit of a shot there for sure. So 21-10 in favor of USC. We're going to try to keep the Trojans out of the end zone. But Victor Spence is going to line up, and he has an open Myron Jones in the end zone. Touchdown, Trojans. USC has let the bombs fly, baby. Myron Jones will score for the USC Trojans. As now 28-10 will be your score, as they will throw again to Myron Jones. Myron Jones has single-handedly destroyed the hopes and dreams of the Oklahoma secondary. It does not matter who they put on him. Myron Jones, well, he's been a problem. We'll see if they go back to him again. Matter of fact, it's not him. It's another receiver, but Brian Jennings gets loose. He's wide but naked open. And Victor Spence, man, he is just playing it like it's just a video game on a Sunday in the dorm room, man. How about that throw? Able to find the end zone yet again. So 42-10, your score. Oklahoma just absolutely shell-shocked right now. But they at least, they're not going down without a fight. You know, gotta respect Oklahoma for at least fighting through this game as much as possible, as the Sooners will again trying to throw downfield, looking for a big play. They get it. Dante Steffens for a 30-yard grab, and Oklahoma is going to use that to drive down the length of the field yet again, where Mitchell eventually finds a man in the left-hand side, and open Carl Irvin, who finds the end zone. Another touchdown for Jordan Mitchell. So the Oklahoma offense is starting to warm up, but at the end of the day, you got to get some stops. You really got to get some stops, and this is really a microcosm of what's happened to his Oklahoma defense today. Just mistakes all over the place, as that leads to a Matt Sullivan 60-yard touchdown run. Should have had him in the backfield. You had a chance to bring him down in the backfield, and yet it still does not even matter. So that being said, USC will have a huge, big-time win here in the Coliseum. The Trojans win in a shootout 56-31, as the Oklahoma Sooners will drop their first game of the season. So we got a couple more games happening, but let's check in on Remy Natalius. He took over as the offensive coordinator for Oregon, and his team will be hosting Colorado Buffaloes, who did win the Mountain West last year and ended up going to the college football playoff all because of that. So we'll see what this Oregon team is made of, see if they can get to 2-0. And so far, honestly, not so great. Colorado's going to get the opening drive, and they will get the opening drive touchdown. James Todd, who's a real star for the Colorado Buffaloes, does make it 7-0. And frankly, in this first half, the Buffaloes are just really looking to stampede this Oregon Ducks squad that is still trying to build itself up in the trenches. Dan Lanning, ironically, based on the NCAA 14 skill tree, not a great recruiter. Not a great recruiter at all, which is really weird to see given how great Dan Lanning is as an actual coach, right? It's weird to see that. But Colorado, they will score yet again. Johnny Black finds the end zone. So Colorado's up 14-0 here. And this look, it could go from bad to a lot worse. James Todd running over Oregon defenders. He has 70 yards already. They've been giving him the ball a lot. And imagine, no, they actually do not give him the ball again here on this drive. They instead go to Michael Slane. And Michael Slane finds the end zone. Touchdown, Colorado. So Colorado with a 21-3 lead going into the halftime break. And they're looking to just go ahead and pick things off here in the second half. Looking for another score. Looking to drop back. Got some time and finds Trey Scott in the end zone. Touchdown, Colorado. A tough one for the home debut of Remy Natalius as the offensive coordinator. His Ducks do score, but it was all in garbage time. So we will take a chance to take a look at some studio updates that are happening around the country. And Arkansas could mess around and get themselves ranked in the top 25 soon. They are going to start out 3-0 as they beat the Memphis Tigers 36-32. But that's not the only studio update that happens around the country. We do also follow the Rainbow Warriors of Hawaii. They've been really good in this dynasty since year number 1. So they win their game, and then a couple more scores after that. Southern Miss, who beat Alabama earlier this year, they lose to Charlotte. And then Rice hangs on and beats Texas Tech 27-20. So Rice is going to remain undefeated for now. They will indeed start the season 2-0. But now we go ahead and get to work on the Governor's Cup battle between the Kentucky Wildcats and the Cardinals of Louisville. Both teams seeking to go to 2-0, and Kentucky is specifically led by their quarterback, Justin Credible. Justin Credible getting a chance to see the field, and is Justin Credible an incredible athlete, wearing that number 26, so you know he's a bad man wearing a running back number, showing the running ability, and Justin Credible finds the end zone. Touchdown, Wildcats. And Justin Credible is looking to keep it going as he will throw over to the right-hand side, and that will be another score. So Kentucky does go ahead and make it a 14-7 affair as Louisville down by a score. Well, they're certainly not going to go down without a fight either, as John Curtis will find the end zone for the Louisville Cardinals, and we have a tie ball game on our hands. Could be a very evenly matched game between these two teams battling for supremacy in the state of Kentucky. And speaking of that Kentucky State supremacy, that is certainly in the balance, as Derek Lowe able to find his way into the end zone there. A touchdown for the Wildcats. And it looks like Kentucky seems like they are ready to pull away. Down by 3 scores at this point. Louisville will need a miracle if they want to come back and win this game. But they will at least score here. Brigham Davis will find the end zone for this Louisville squad, but it will not be enough though. Kentucky wins 38-28, and Kentucky will be starting the year 2-0. Meanwhile, we have some more studio updates on the way. A couple of them, actually. How about Wisconsin? They were in a surprisingly close game with the Akron Zips, but Wisconsin finds a way to win it, though. They win 24-17. And we'll get a partial studio update. Penn State remains undefeated, but they were also in a close game against the Broncos of Western Michigan. So the Broncos will fall to 1-2, while Penn State, well, they will still remain undefeated for now. But a few more games getting ready to get underway. We'll check in on that Miami and Florida game for sure, as that is going to be the thumbnail that you see that probably led you to clicking onto this video in the first place. And we got a big-time game here. A couple of other teams that have big-time programs. Nebraska won the American last year, looking to get back to the college football playoff. They're hosting Texas A&M, and Texas A&M, their first 2 weeks, they were actually on bye. So Texas A&M will not have any more bye weeks going forward, which is a little bit of disadvantage to them from a health standpoint. Hopefully they can remain healthy throughout the year. But they also got to go on this road here. Very hostile environment here in Lincoln, Nebraska. And this Nebraska offense has taken a definite step forward. It helps that they have some continuity at that quarterback position as well. And Brian Robinson, thankful to be healthy. Well, his guys are going to score yet again and just going to continue to pour on the points throughout the day. As late in the first half, Tim Hayden gets the carry, runs through 3 separate defenders. He was not messing around and finding out, as Nebraska will quickly overwhelm Texas A&M, winning by 16, but it felt like a bigger win. Meanwhile, number 25, Tennessee. Well, they lost their first game of the year to West Virginia. They're going to look to get back on the right track here, trying to play some better ball overall against Northwestern. Northwestern, they've played in the first couple weeks of the season. They haven't looked very good in those 2 weeks so far. They have looked very underwhelming, but they're here in Evanston, Illinois, trying to stem the tide. However, Tennessee, a team that made it to the college football playoff last year, well, they're looking to make sure that they get back here yet again. Tennessee will drop back to pass, looks over the middle of the field, finds Bo Burns in the end zone, touchdown Volunteers. And Tennessee will quickly pull away from Northwestern. Seemed like this Wildcats team, which does have a new head coach, by the way, well, his Wildcats did not show too much fight here in the rain in Evanston, Illinois, as Tennessee blows out Northwestern 41-7, a dominant game for all 3 phases. But now we have a battle in the swamp that could have some huge implications in that Sunshine Division in the SEC Conference. Number 5, Miami, taking on number 16, Florida. You see those Sunshine Division standings. Florida already playing a couple of games in conference play. They lost to Georgia Tech, but they did win their previous game in week number 2. So they're looking to have their first winning streak of the season as they host a very strong Miami Hurricanes football team. We'll see what Miami responds with, as they're already down 10-0. Rodney Walker, however, he's going to keep it on the read option, and he's got some wheels down the sideline. Rodney Walker is eventually cut down, but not before getting inside the 25-yard line. They're on the verge of scoring, and they will score. Next play, Marcus Brown with a Moss. Oh my word. Marcus Brown just absolutely demolishing defenders this time around, man. You love to see it. Love to see that type of effort for sure. As now Florida only up by a field goal. But Octavian Cater, he's going to throw a critical interception here. Not really what you want to see from your junior quarterback, who's been in this system for a couple of years now. Granted, he played it at wide receiver, Just not a great read. Just not a very good read whatsoever. And now Miami has a chance to take the lead. Walker's going to drop back. Florida only sends free rushers. And once get that pass off to Tyrell Smoochie Wallace. But it looks like that was well covered by Joe Davis, who will go ahead and return the favor. So, still a 10-7 game, but Florida cannot do anything with the interception themselves. So, still the same score. That night might not last very much longer, though. Tyrell Smoochie Wallace gets open down the sideline, helps the Hurricanes get inside the 5-yard line, and Caleb Kirk, that sophomore sensation, will find the end zone. First time we say his name today. I feel like he might be a little bit more involved in that second half. But tight game here in the Swamp. Miami only up by 4. Cater looking to fire on all cylinders to start the second half. And he's got it. Corey Harper with a 57-yard touchdown. The Swamp is now erupting. And even the rain will not stop the party happening in Gainesville, Florida right now. They really needed that play. So the Miami Hurricanes are now down by a field goal as Rodney Walker will try to help them retake the lead. And there's the speed of Rodney Walker. He is a bad man. A certified bad man. Rodney Walker gonna be gone like a girl in a country song. Touchdown Hurricanes. And just like that, the number 5 team in the nation, they are back ahead and they have the lead for now. But 21-17 is your score late in the third quarter. And the Florida defense really needing to stand tall right now. Kevin Silva getting a sack there. He's having a nice day for the Florida Gators. And he would get 2 TFLs as well. So, second and very long here. But Rodney Walker is going to find his man Tyrell Smoochie Wallace yet again. That's a 30-yard dot that this man just had right there. And going into the fourth quarter, while it's still a close game on paper, it seems like Miami is getting ready to put this game away. Walker will find the end zone with less than 8 minutes left to play in the ball game, and that will give the Hurricanes a 28-17 lead. Meanwhile, 3rd and 5 yet again. Florida cannot respond. They had to punt the ball away. And yeah, Rodney Walker, he's absolutely feeling himself in this fourth quarter. Did not throw the ball very much today, but when he did end up throwing this football, he was very effective, put the guys in the right spot, and of course, you have the ultimate closer in Caleb Kirk on your team, who was a Heisman finalist as a true freshman. This was a closer game than what the scoreboard says, but boy, did Miami win that fourth quarter, and the battle of the Seminole War Canoe will belong to the Miami Hurricanes, as they will start out 3-0, while Florida, they will already drop their second game of the season. So some more games coming on the way as we have a 7:45 kickoff, actually. Vanderbilt looking to head on down to Athens, Georgia. They will take on the number 12 team in America, the Georgia Bulldogs, as Frederick Moore, oh my word, Frederick Moore, bad man there, throws it up to Antonio Paris, and Antonio Paris makes a great play on the ball. And matter of fact, what we've seen from Georgia in these first halves is that first quarter and a half, they have always seemed to find a way to dominate teams in that first quarter and a half. You want to talk about coming out with great game plans? This is certainly that team in a nutshell. FM is looking to try to finish the drive off, and he will find Robert London in the corner of the end zone. And it looks like Frederick Moore, well, he might be leading Georgia to a quick and painless blowout victory. However, the Vanderbilt Commodores, they refuse to be fading into the night. And matter of fact, Vanderbilt, they claw their way back into the game, and they put themselves in a spot where with 1:15 left to play in the second quarter, they actually do have a chance here to possibly, and I'm talking about possibly, get this win. This could really happen right now, you guys. And at least like tie the game up. Sure enough, Malik Battle will find the end zone for the Vanderbilt Commodores. Just a little bit bad tackling there on the outside as, you know, take a look at the replay. I mean, had a chance to bring them down for a loss. You really did. But Yeah, that ain't it. And then we also give up a 2-point conversion as well. So Jake Jacobs, absolutely beside himself, the new defensive coordinator at Georgia, for allowing this to happen. But does it leave too much time for Frederick Muller, though? He still has a minute left here in all of this. They seem like they were content to run out the rest of his clock and just go to the halftime locker room. But that 28-yard run by Elliott Hartman, that might change things out of the blue there. So now Georgia's going to be a little bit more aggressive, and a couple plays later finds a man in the end zone. Robert Neely going to provide the third touchdown pass for Frederick Muller. And Georgia will have the lead going into halftime anyways. So, fourth quarter coming through, and the Georgia Bulldogs are looking to finish. But Vanderbilt still hanging around. And this has kind of been a theme for Georgia this year. Strong starts, but allow the other team to kind of linger around here in the first couple of games of the season. Certainly is no exception there, as Vanderbilt is going to find Omar Pierce for the first down. And it leads to a goal line situation. Georgia trying to stop them down on the goal line, but Steve Cannon, nobody gets to Steve Cannon. So Vanderbilt scores. The Commodores have a chance to take the lead, but thankfully the Georgia offense comes through. Elliott Hartman finds the end zone. And hey, maybe a little bit of sugarcoating. They might go for this 2-point conversion here. And sure enough, they actually do. They actually have the audacity to try a 2-point conversion. And of course, it's going to work. Of course, it's going to work. So, Georgia wins in a somewhat surprising shootout there. But Georgia's going to win this game 42-28. It was a good win for Georgia. Not a great one, though. Few more studio updates on the way, though, and we get some surprisers. Remember Georgia Tech, that big win in Florida week 1? Well, they're on a 2-game losing streak. They lose in a shootout to the Golden Flashes, 45-31. Kent State wins their first game of the year. In the meantime, Nevada, I think, was ranked late last year. They beat Stanford 31-21. Nevada really emerging as kind of one of those underrated programs out on the West Coast. But Cal is certainly proven that they are indeed an overrated squad. Cal was a top 10 team in the preseason. They have not won a single game. And this loss to Ohio, well, that's really not a good look for your program well, to keep it nicely. So, Ohio beats a ranked team, and then Bowling Green might make a case to get ranked themselves. They will start out the year 3-0 as they beat North Texas. So, a few more games left here in this episode. Many ranked opponents playing: Washington, Florida State, etc., etc. Speaking of Washington, we'll check in on their game now. They are taking on an unranked Minnesota squad, but Minnesota strikes first. And we actually also witnessed the first receiving touchdown for Cornelius Green. So you love to see that from a statistical standpoint. But this Minnesota team, this has been one of the more exciting offenses that we've gotten to witness here to start year number 4. But this number 1 team will certainly be a challenge, and a challenge that they are embracing extremely well. This is not an easy environment to come and play in, but Lou Harrison, he's playing some great ball right now. You see the experience that he has as someone that I'm pretty sure that we saw play all the way back in year number 1. He's kind of that 4-year starter now for the Minnesota Golden Gophers, and that really has transpired on the football field. Nathan Jones gets a big play. So the Gophers are now across midfield. Washington trying to send the blitz. And when you send the blitz, you have one-on-one coverage. And Brad Davis is going to win on that one-on-one coverage. Touchdown, Minnesota. And the Minnesota Golden Gophers with a big lead going into half. They're up 21-10 at the half. But Washington does get the ball to start this second half, though. And in this second half, Washington's going to try to rally back here. In a goal line situation, they're going to throw it down here in the end zone, and Sean Peterson will make the catch. So, Washington gets itself back into the game. The number 1 team, well, they're not giving up that number 1 ranking, at least not so easily. So, we will see Washington also get a field goal. So, we're here in this fourth quarter. We're here in this final quarter of action. We have not seen Minnesota scored since Lou Harrison's final drive in the second quarter. Can they change that? And that'll make it a little bit easier to do so. A 10-yard grab for Brandon Brown. And now looking at a 3rd and 6. Harrison dropping back to pass. He's looking around. Going to throw over the middle of the field. And Cornelius Green's there. He's going to make the catch. A gain of 7 yards. So not a touchdown, but they do get a fresh set of downs to work through. And they won't really need those new set of downs too much because Sean Benson finds the end zone. Touchdown for Minnesota. So now Washington, not only do they need a touchdown, they also got to get this 2-point conversion as well. And that's just to tie things up here. Scott Johnson, new quarterback for the Huskies. He does get the touchdown, but then on this 2-point conversion, finds a man in the corner. And yeah, Washington will nod things up 28-all. Coming down to the last few minutes, Washington trying to send the blitz once more. And Minnesota is going to get loose. Nathan Jones finds the end zone. Touchdown, Golden Gophers. And that last touchdown was the difference. Minnesota shocks number 1 Washington 35-28. So wow, how about that for a finish? We'll see if we get any more final incredibly classic finishes here in this final window of NCSL football here in week number 3. As we'll check in on Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State comes in 2-0, but they're taking on a Pittsburgh Panthers team that's looking to prove that, hey, we are much better than what we showed in that opening week when we got the doors blown off of us by USC. We'll see if we can find that type of effort from Pittsburgh. I'm sure Oklahoma State also wants to get ranked at some point. A win here would certainly help those odds of accomplishing that, as I don't know how that pass got through. Really tight window to Zach McKenzie, but he gets his first catch of the day. And we know this quarterback can run, and he used those legs to perfection. Lou Munoz works his way into the end zone. It's a tie game, but now we get into that second quarter. Pittsburgh looking to retake the lead, looks over to the left-hand side, and Ken Franz will go ahead and pick up a gain of 6 yards on the play. But Pittsburgh is going to go into their no huddle. Pittsburgh, one of the fastest teams in America when it comes to getting the ball in between snaps. And Oklahoma State looked ill-prepared to stop that quarterback draw. And so Pittsburgh will score yet another touchdown. The Panthers will make this a 14-10 game. Later on in the second quarter, Pittsburgh looking to drop back the pass. Looks over to the left-hand side, and what a dot! What an absolute dime throw to Caleb Bell. He's closing in on 100 yards here in the first half. I'm sure nobody wants to cover this kid. It seems like no one wants to cover in the Oklahoma State secondary, period. It looks like a lot of easy throws here for this Pittsburgh squad, and one that will lead to eventually another touchdown, as Kyle Williams will find the end zone. Touchdown, Panthers. But just when you think things couldn't get any worse for the Cowboys in the first half, well, Cowboys go 3-and-out, and they could not force Pittsburgh to burn all of their timeouts. So another chance for Pittsburgh to score, but they're running short on time here. This could be the last play of the second quarter. And Mark Quinn finds the end zone again. Touchdown, Pittsburgh. And the Panthers of Pitt are going to put that 50-burger on Oklahoma State, and Pitt is now going to be 2-1. Meanwhile, we check in on the number 4 team in America, the Florida State Seminoles. They're hosting the Wyoming Cowboys, and the Cowboys are going to be looking for a big-time upset, as early on in this game, Wyoming is coming down here in Tallahassee, Florida. And they're actually coming down and playing some good ball right here, as we will see the Wyoming Cowboys. Well, we're going to time this game up right here, baby. 7-all is going to be your score. So we got a 10-7 ball game here, as the Seminoles are looking to go forth and try and get to 2-0 here. Wyoming making it somewhat difficult, though, as it's still a tight ball game midway through the second quarter. We'll see if we start seeing the Florida State team that we know is capable of making college football playoff. This is one of 2 teams in the country that did actually make the college football playoff without even having to win their own conference. That's how good Florida State was last year. And it looks like they might have that similar type of team. How does that man get out of there? Ty Gold is not real. He is not a real man whatsoever. Florida State is going to come out and win convincingly anyways, 41-7. even with that slower start. But now the final game that we have here in week number 3. We have a big time battle between the Michigan Wolverines and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. An early season rivalry game. In a rivalry game that is going to have two teams in the top 10. Needless to say, this is going to be a big time battle here in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And we'll go ahead and quickly see the coin toss here for both teams, as Michigan does end up winning the coin toss after all. So we'll see Notre Dame defer to the second half. We'll see what Michigan does here with their opening possession, as we got a pitch out over to the right-hand side. Hang on now. He might be off to the races. Is he gone like a girl in a country song? Yes, he is. Touchdown, Michigan. And Jason Sims is going to send Ann Arbor into absolute pandemonium right now. Oh, my word. Is this an absolute sight to behold right now? Absolutely crazy stuff happening in the moment, as Michigan will take a 7-0 lead. But now 7-3 is going to be your score for the time being, as now Michigan and Notre Dame, they're in a tight battle, and this has been one of those very low scoring games that we've seen witness here. Definitely our fair share of turnovers in this game, but that one touchdown in the opening drive, well, it ended up being the deciding factor. Michigan wins a close one, 10-3. They'll likely be your new #1 team in the nation as well. But even though we can't watch every single game that happens around the country, what we can do, however, is take a look at some of these notable box scores after the fact. We do have a big blowout here first and foremost. How about the Red Hawks continuing to build off of their success from the previous season? They win big against Georgia State here, 49-14, and the Red Hawks are off to a solid 2-0 start here thus far. As for UCLA, the defending national champions, well, the defending national champions, after losing their season opener, they're now back to their winning ways. They have won their last couple of games, doing so by beating the brakes off of Appalachian State 59-17. UCLA will play Oregon next week. However, the Fighting Illini, a team that actually did beat UCLA, well, they couldn't keep it up. It's the hardest thing about being consistent in college football. Sometimes you don't have your fastball, and Illinois certainly didn't have it today, losing to Arizona State 42-20. Congrats to the Sun Devils on winning their first game of the season. However, West Virginia will look to start making a case to get ranked in the top 25, as West Virginia hosted FCS North Dakota, and West Virginia won convincingly 56-21. I think they might be starting to receive votes in the top 25. And of course, we have the Rebels of Ole Miss looking to get back to that college football playoff. And Ole Miss is doing some great things right now. They are 3-0 to start the year, including 2-0 in a competitive Sun Belt conference. They beat Louisiana 52-24. The Ragin' Cajuns of year 4, well, that alliteration is no mess for this Ole Miss squad. So needless to say, there shouldn't be a ton of surprise here in terms of who is the new #1. Michigan does move up to #1 to be your newest top ranked team in the entire country, at least moving forward. We do have some other notable spots here though. Ole Miss moves up a couple of spots, and then Army, despite being on bye, moves up 3, as does UCLA. Georgia doing the same thing as well. They're off to a 3-0 start as well. Washington losing a shocker to Minnesota. They move down 9 spots all the way down to number 10 in the country. Washington might not be the same team as last year. It seems like same thing could be said for Notre Dame. They played their opening matchup against Michigan and couldn't get it done, unfortunately. So Notre Dame is down to number 11 there. Rice, how about the Owls still getting some love here early, up to number 13 in the nation. Minnesota, not ranked at all. Now they're up here at number 14. People finally putting some respect on Minnesota's name here early on in the year. And then we get to this bottom half. LSU, number 15 with a big win against Tulane. Oklahoma was competitive against USC, but USC was too much, so they fell down a couple of spots. Hawaii, though. Hawaii moves up 4 spots to number 17. They're ranked in the top 25 once again. North Carolina moves up 5 in spite of being on bye. Florida down 3 spots to number 19 in the country. This game was closer than what the score says, but a 1-2 start is not promising. Then rounding out your top 25, you got TCU at number 20, Tennessee at number 21, then a couple of newcomers here as well, including Arkansas, Texas, who is hanging on like a by a thread, it feels like. And then San Diego State is back in, and Clemson finally being ranked. They had an excellent season in year 3, so I'm glad that they're finally getting respect as well. So that will cue up the action here in week number 3. We've had some really surprising upsets here, and because of that, we had some shakeups in the top 25. This has been an exhilarating season here on the NCSL Dynasty, one that's had quite a few upsets here in year number 4. We hope that continues as we get deeper into conference play, as a lot of conference matchups are opening up here in week number 4. But we will worry about that in the next episode. And I hope you guys enjoyed today's content of the NCSL Sim League. If you do, make sure you go ahead and smack that like button. And shoot, if you're brand new to the channel as well, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well. I would truly appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. But this is John J. Gaming on the mic signing off. But hoping you guys are out there having a good one. Take care, everybody.